So the two sides there taking partnership to a new level. Defense, of course, is a key arena in which we're looking at strengthening these ties. But Akanksha, co-production of Rafale jets, that's something that is going to be keenly watched at. Many countries haven't been open to sharing tech as far as development of these assets are concerned. That's something that could open doors really for India, isn't it?
I'm glad, Poonam, you touched upon this aspect, because when you talk about global superpowers like the United States, for years, for nearly 2 decades, New Delhi kept pushing the United States to share their critical emerging technologies, especially in sectors like defense. And it was only after President Biden came into administration that India was able to get that breakthrough, that too in the tail end of his administration. Much of it was being used as a bargaining chip and as a leverage by the US President Donald Trump as well. So there was a lot of skepticism if Donald Trump is actually going to put a hold on to the sharing of critical emerging technologies. But none of that bargaining chip has been seen. The way the US has been using critical emerging technologies, especially in the defense sector, is not the same with France. France has been very open to using their technology, but even though we've seen how previous administrations under the UPA government all the way to NDA have in fact struggled to get these deals forward. But India is very hopeful that now this bilateral relationship between India and France has been elevated to a global strategic partnership. You can expect, say, a headway in terms of the deal being finalized, as President Macron in those visuals himself has taken to the International Media Center. Let me tell you, this is the IMC in the AI Summit at Bharat Mandapam in the national capital. This is where he's taken the time out to come and specifically address all of media. That includes the international and Indian media. No foreign
Right, sorry to interrupt you there, Akanksha, but we're just getting visuals coming in of that meeting between French President Emmanuel Macron and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. These are visuals of that meeting that were held earlier on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, which was attended by Emmanuel Macron, who hailed India's AI growth story. The two leaders there and the bonhomie on display, like Akanksha was also pointing out, the two leaders do go way back. They share a certain kind of rapport that we've seen Prime Minister Modi share with many other world leaders. In this particular context, the kind of discussions that are taking place between the two countries and the two world leaders is extremely crucial, because that is how India is trying to gain an upper hand as far as ensuring that India's national security needs are kept paramount. At the same time, bilateral ties are strengthened with countries like France, especially in the scope of defense. Akanksha continues to be with us. Akanksha, we're still awaiting to hear more from what exactly transpired during that meeting. But like you were pointing out, that bonhomie between the two world leaders, that rapport there on display.
Absolutely, it is, and one that is also now being elevated to a global strategic partnership. As I said, it's only with very few countries that India shares that kind of bilateral relationship, one of them being the United States. There's a lot of changes that have happened ever since Donald Trump took to the White House last year in January. In this 1 year, much of the geopolitical climate and the overall global polity has changed. Many of them have chosen to stand by the US President's side. He's been extremely whimsical. Many of them have pandered to his whims and fancies. But as I said, the French President Emmanuel Macron and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi are two leaders who have stood their ground. They have dug their heels in, so much so that the US now has been brought to the negotiating table, where they've also considered a middle path when it comes to a trade deal. But what makes this partnership with France so special is because it's coming hot on the heels of that historic FTA that we forged with EU. And there are leading powers in Europe, namely Germany, France, and when you look at Britain. So these are three countries, even though UK is out of Europe officially, the fact is that these are three superpowers of Europe that stand very steady. And whatever engagements we've had with France so far, I can tell you the sense that we are getting, Poonam, is that India is looking towards also getting in a lot of French investment when it comes to developing our AI market as well. Don't forget, the French president is here at the time of the AI summit, but it is going to be, the primary focus is going to be on that defense deal.
Absolutely, Akanksha. For the moment, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. We'll, of course, keep an eye out on what transpires on the sidelines of that AI Impact Summit and the relationship between India and France, which is only getting strengthened because of this visit of the French president. We'll keep a track of that and much more here on CNN News 18. But for now, time for a quick break.